Hello everyone and welcome back to the Intro Gaming News today for the 17th November of 2017. My name is Kralizec and I will be guiding you through today's news. So let's get straight to it. Today we got only really two pieces of news. One of them can be classified into two separate things though, and the other one is not really that big. So let's start with the not really so big thing. So Rocket League is now available on the Switch, and it has crossplay available to the Xbox and also to the PC. So I'm pretty glad that we're going to get more people throughout our games in Rocket League, because I'm pretty big into Rocket League. And you know, it's just good. There's really nothing bad to say about this. It's just Rocket League is now available on the Switch. It just means Switch is getting more and more good games. I know I've been pretty, not to say negative about the Switch at the beginning when it was released, but I wasn't as positive as many people are currently. I was sort of like, okay, I'm not sure whether this console is really the thing people will want. But as it turns out, it is actually exactly what people want. It is a tablet that has good gaming controls. I just wish there was a bit more functions dedicated outside of games in this console. Because right now there are a few issues that, yeah, it's harder to just watch movies, to just browse the internet on the Switch. But in terms of gaming, the Switch is great. And having Rocket League there is even better, because it would be probably the game I would spend most of the time playing on the Switch. And for the second piece of news, so a petition to classify loot boxes as gambling has gained over 30,000 supporters currently. So yeah. There has been a little bit of a discussion going throughout the gaming community whether loot boxes are actually gambling. And I personally tend to side with the people who say yes, they are, and they should be classified as such. Though I do not view them as such hardcore gambling as just going to a casino and playing roulette or blackjack or whatever, something like that. Though you can argue you can lose the same amount of money through gaming as you can through those services, I'd say you potentially can, but it is much harder. So I personally would call this something like softcore gambling. But yes, it should still be somewhat shown that all of these things, all of these loot boxes are actually dangerous and need to be limited in some way. And this has been made as a request for the RSRB to reevaluate loot boxes, so they will be classified as gambling. At the moment, it has over 30,000 signatures and it's climbing really fast, so we can pretty reasonably guess that this will get a lot of traction, getting over 100,000 signatures. I'm not sure whether I personally will sign it, because I'm not sure whether these petitions are actually useful. But if you think this is an issue that should be handled through the SRB, then be sure to go and sign the petition. You can easily find it online. And just so you know, if this would result in loot boxes being called gambling, they would have to be, the games that include loot boxes would have to be labeled as adults only. And a lot of games that have loot boxes are very often targeted at not even teenagers, at even younger children. And these games would then have a much harder time to actually sell these loot boxes, as it is very often the case, especially when it comes to small children ages 7 to 10. that their parents decide what they will have installed on their phones, tablets, and PCs, consoles, whatever, wherever they're gaming. And hopefully, this is the point where it should be. I would like to see it not being classified as fully gambling, because I think a 15-year-old is capable of deciding whether they will or they should buy loot boxes, and they can reasonably guess whether it is gambling. Another thing to consider is, does this also include packs in card games? So let's say Hearthstone. Hearthstone card pack is essentially just a loot box that isn't called a loot box. You know, you just have a certain probability that you will get this and that. Yes, you have a 100% chance you will get something, but that's the case with loot boxes as well. Does that mean that card packs in collectible card games or even trading card games should be sold only to adults as well? Because you can go very easily to a store right now as a 12-year-old and just buy a pack of Magic the Gathering cards. And I'm talking about real world cards. And the boosters there are essentially what has created this concept of loot boxes and card packs. Yeah, they are the original guys where you just get something and you're hoping for the best. So would these things then have to be classified as only for adults as well? I wouldn't say so, but I would say that probably children younger than, let's say, 10 also shouldn't buy these, because these children don't understand the concepts behind them. I remember very well when I was a child, I used to collect hockey cards, you know, with hockey players, and I spent almost every single cent I got through my allowance on these cards, because I didn't realize that. I understand that I had to buy as many as I can to get a discount, but I didn't realize that there was a probability in play. I was just too young to understand those things. And to a little bit expand on this topic, so Battlefront 2 and Overwatch are now under investigation by the Gambling Authority in Belgium. So they're essentially trying to find out whether these games might need a permit from the Gambling Commission in Belgium because of the nature of these loot boxes. So this is a very interesting question where actual pieces of the state government are stepping in and seeing, okay, so is this actual gambling? Isn't it? If they actually decide it is actual gambling, then yeah, we're going to face some very interesting times in terms of gaming, in terms of how we get our loot in games. Because then you could technically argue that even the fact that bosses have random loot tables from which they drop loot for you, and even that could be considered gambling. Because there are many countries where, for example, poker is considered gambling, even though there is skill involved. And yes, there is skill involved in slaying a boss in, for example, World of Warcraft, but there is still a random element here. These are very interesting questions, and hopefully they will get answered really carefully, because they could affect a large part of the gaming community, and I really don't know what I want the result to be. On one hand, I want gaming to be as free as possible, as free from outside influence, because it is an art. We know that very well. Us gamers know that games can be a piece of art. And knowing whether we want our states to come and say you can and you cannot do this in art is a tough one. There might be parts where we want our states, our countries to step in, but for the most part, I don't think it would be that good of a thing. But when it comes to gambling addictions, because those are one of the worst addictions you can get, not because they destroy your physical health, but because they completely destroy you socially. They force you to become a person who starts to steal, for example, because you need that money to fuel your addiction. And very often they actually lead to a life of drugs, because one of the easiest way to get money to keep your addiction running is to sell drugs. And yeah, I'm just hoping it won't come to that. And maybe this is one of the places where the government should step in. And we'll see how this develops. I will keep you informed. And with that being said, that's going to be it for today, guys. I hope you enjoyed getting today's news. If you did, be sure to like the video. Give us that thumbs up. It really helps us. Give us a subscribe so you know what is coming to you from the daily gaming news every day. If you're watching this on Steam, be sure to give us an upvote and follow our blog there. And, well, that's it. So see you guys later with more gaming content.